If someone told you a town in America would literally pay you to move there, you'd probably assume there's a catch. Maybe it's freezing 9 months a year. Maybe there are more cows than people. Maybe the nearest airport is 2 hours away and the biggest local employer is a grain elevator. But in 2026, the reality is more interesting than the stereotype. Across the country, dozens of towns and states are actively paying remote workers, entrepreneurs, and even families tens of thousands of dollars in cash and incentives just to relocate. And no, this isn't a gimmick or a sweepstakes. These are structured economic development programs backed by city councils, state governments, and local foundations trying to reverse population decline, attract skilled workers, and rebuild tax bases that have been shrinking for years. The shift started accelerating during the remote work boom. Once millions of Americans realized they didn't have to live within commuting distance of major office hubs, smaller towns saw an opportunity. Instead of waiting for corporations to relocate, they began recruiting people directly. Offer cash grants, offer housing stipends, offer tax breaks, offer co-working space memberships, offer outdoor lifestyle perks. In some cases, stack it all together and you're looking at incentives approaching $50,000 in total value. But every program has rules, income requirements, timelines, and fine print. Some require you to buy a home. Others require you to stay for multiple years. Some are competitive application-based programs with limited spots. Today, we're breaking down 12 U.S. towns and regions offering serious money to relocate in 2026. Some offer pure cash. Others bundle benefits that add up quickly. And while $50,000 is typically the upper range when you combine multiple incentives, several of these places come surprisingly close. Before we jump in, here's the reality check. These programs are not about free money. They are economic tools. Towns use them to attract taxpayers, boost housing markets, increase school enrollment, and stimulate small business growth. If you qualify and plan carefully, though, they can dramatically offset moving costs and even give you a financial head start. Let's get into it. 1. West Virginia. Ascend WV. West Virginia launched one of the most talked about relocation programs in the country through Ascend WV. The program offers $12,000 in cash over 2 years, plus an additional $2,000 outdoor recreation package. While the direct cash isn't $50,000, when combined with low housing costs and tax advantages, the financial shift can feel dramatic for someone moving from a high-cost coastal city. Applicants must work remotely full-time for an employer located outside West Virginia, or run a self-employed business that can operate remotely. You must commit to living in one of the designated communities such as Morgantown or Lewisburg. Spots are competitive and limited. The appeal here isn't just money. West Virginia is leaning heavily into its outdoor identity. Hiking, whitewater rafting, mountain biking, skiing. Housing prices remain significantly below national averages. For someone earning a remote salary from a major metro employer, the cost of living arbitrage alone can dwarf the cash incentive. 2. Alabama, the Shoals. The Shoals region in northwest Alabama offers up to $10,000 through its Remote Shoals program. The incentive is paid in installments and is designed to attract remote workers earning at least $52,000 per year. The Shoals includes Florence, Muscle Shoals, and surrounding communities. The area combines a surprisingly strong music heritage with low housing costs and mild winters. While $10,000 may not sound massive, in a region where median home prices are far lower than national averages, it stretches much further. Applicants must move within 6 months of approval and remain for at least 1 year. The town isn't just buying residency, it's trying to build community retention. 3. Tulsa Remote. Tulsa Remote is one of the most established programs and offers $10,000 to approved remote workers who relocate to Tulsa for at least 1 year. Participants also receive access to co-working space and community building events. Tulsa has positioned itself as a mid-sized city alternative to coastal metros. Lower cost of living, growing arts scene, and central U.S. location make it attractive to professionals priced out of Austin or Denver. While $10,000 is the advertised incentive, When you combine housing affordability and income retention from remote salaries, the effective financial benefit can be far larger. 4. Vermont. Relocation grants. Vermont has offered relocation grants to remote workers and new residents in the past, with programs reimbursing moving expenses up to $7,500 or more, depending on eligibility and available funding. Vermont's pitch is lifestyle. Scenic mountain towns, strong community culture, and access to outdoor recreation are the primary draws. Winters are intense, housing inventory can be tight, and programs are often capped based on funding cycles. But for someone already committed to New England living, reimbursement grants significantly soften relocation costs. 5. Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas Council. Northwest Arkansas has offered incentives up to $10,000 plus a mountain bike or outdoor recreation package. Cities like Bentonville and Fayetteville have grown rapidly due to Walmart's headquarters and a booming trail system. The region is aggressively branding itself as a mountain biking capital, and incentives target remote workers with higher incomes. With relatively low housing prices compared to larger tech hubs, the financial delta can be substantial. 6. Topeka. Choose Topeka. Choose Topeka has offered up to $15,000 for home purchases and smaller incentives for renters. The structure varies based on employer participation. Topeka's cost of living remains below national averages, and incentives tied directly to home purchases can effectively reduce down payment burdens. The program aims to stabilize population trends and boost local industry. 7. Natchez. Natchez has offered up to $6,000 in relocation incentives for remote workers earning $150,000 or more annually who purchase a home within city limits. The high income requirement narrows the applicant pool, but for qualifying professionals, it creates a unique opportunity to live in a historic river town with extremely affordable real estate. The Mississippi River setting and historic architecture are major draws, though job diversity locally is limited. 8. Hamilton. Talent Attraction Program. Hamilton has offered student loan repayment incentives for recent graduates in STEAM fields who relocate and work locally. Awards can reach several $1,000s, easing debt burdens while building the regional workforce. This program isn't about remote workers. It's about anchoring young professionals in smaller Midwestern cities. 9. Indiana Make My Move. Make My Move partners with multiple Indiana cities offering relocation packages that sometimes include cash, co-working memberships, and even home renovation grants. Total incentives vary by city, and while few hit $50,000 in pure cash, bundled packages can add up significantly. Indiana's pitch revolves around affordability and stability. For remote earners, the math often works strongly in their favor. Decimo Newton. Newton has offered cash incentives for home buyers, sometimes reaching $10,000 or more depending on program cycles. As a small city trying to rebuild population after industrial decline, Newton sees relocation incentives as long-term investment. Housing remains dramatically affordable compared to coastal markets. 11. Baltimore, live near your work. Baltimore has offered grants to homebuyers purchasing in designated neighborhoods. While not strictly a move from out-of-state program, incentives can reach $5,000 or more and stack with other housing grants. The program focuses on stabilizing neighborhoods and encouraging home ownership. 12. Ketchikan. While Alaska no longer distributes oil dividend relocation bonuses specifically for moving, residents receive the permanent fund dividend annually. Combined with relatively affordable housing in certain areas, Alaska remains financially intriguing. Ketchikan offers dramatic scenery, but extreme remoteness and weather are significant trade-offs. The $50,000 question. So where does the up to $50,000 headline come from? In most cases, it's not a single check handed to you at closing. It's a combination of direct cash payments, tax incentives, employer bonuses, housing grants, student loan assistance, and cost of living differentials. If you move from San Francisco to West Virginia with a $120,000 remote salary, your effective financial gain in the first year can easily exceed $30,000 to $50,000, simply from lower housing costs and taxes, before you even factor in relocation grants. If you're remote, financially stable, and open to change, 2026 might be one of the best windows ever to leverage geography for financial gain. The money is real. The programs are active. The fine print matters. And somewhere out there, a town is literally budgeting for someone exactly like you. What makes these relocation programs more than just gimmicks isn't the cash amount itself, but the philosophy behind them. Many small towns are realizing that traditional economic growth is fading while remote work is expanding. So instead of waiting for corporations to move in, they're proactively recruiting individuals and families who can bring income, spending power, and long-term community engagement. Historically, towns grew because of railroads, resource extraction, or regional industry. Today, growth is increasingly about human capital. People who earn outside the local economy but live, spend, and contribute to it. That's why the structure of many of these programs makes sense when you look at them as investments rather than giveaways. A $10,000 relocation grant is effectively a discounted acquisition cost for a taxpayer who may rent housing, buy groceries locally, send children to school, and eventually buy a home. Businesses pay taxes, and the economic base broadens. For communities whose populations have shrunk due to manufacturing decline, changing demographics, or shifts in transportation routes, these incentives are strategic bet-the-farm moves to reverse decades of stagnation. Similarly, home purchase incentives often depend on purchasing property within certain price ranges or in targeted zones, meaning that while a town may advertise $15,000 relocation bonus, the funds might be split into down payment assistance, tax breaks over time, and reimbursements rather than an immediate check. Meanwhile, Indiana's Make My Move initiative often pairs relocation incentives with entrepreneur support, co-working memberships, and small business development resources, suggesting that the town or region is not just looking for workers, but for economic multipliers. People who start businesses, create local jobs, or build community assets. Understanding the difference between cash incentives and value-added incentives is critical, because a $10,000 relocation check is not equivalent to $10,000 in housing discounts, plus tax savings, plus business development support over multiple years. For many viewers evaluating a decision like this, the financial calculus should include both immediate cash and long-term financial offsets. For example, living in a town with significantly lower property taxes, insurance costs, and rental prices can create annual savings that quickly overshadow the one-time incentive. Even without direct relocation money, moving from a high-cost area like San Francisco or New York to one of these emerging towns can feel like a pay raise because your dollars stretch so much further on basic necessities. One important caveat is that incentives sometimes come with obligations, periods of required residency, minimum employment terms, or repayment clauses if you leave early. Many programs ask recipients to sign agreements binding them to stay for 1 to 3 years. If you relocate for a $10,000 grant and sell or rent your home after 6 months, some towns require repayment of a prorated portion of the incentive. This is part of ensuring that the town isn't effectively subsidizing short-term stays. In exchange, locals see the incoming residents as longer-term community members rather than transient guests. Before applying, reading the terms carefully can prevent unpleasant surprises. It's also worth considering that while incentives are appealing, lifestyle and compatibility must factor into your decision. Smaller towns often have fewer entertainment options, limited public transit, and smaller job markets if your work isn't fully remote. Healthcare options can be more limited in rural regions, meaning serious medical needs may involve travel. School options vary widely, and while some have excellent local education systems, others may lack resources. Family dynamics, climate tolerance, proximity to extended family, and even political or cultural differences can influence satisfaction after relocation. Incentives are a bonus, not a substitute, for a lifestyle you genuinely want. Ultimately, the headline figure of up to $50,000 is less about an actual cash transfer and more about the combined financial impact of relocation incentives, cost of living adjustments, tax advantages, and lifestyle improvements that come together to shift your economic baseline. If you are thoughtful, realistic and intentional about how you use these incentives, coupled with a genuine interest in the community you are joining. Relocation support programs can be much more than a one-time bonus. They can become a pillar in your financial strategy, lifestyle planning, and long-term life design, turning what once seemed like fringe opportunities into meaningful stepping stones toward the life you want in 2026 and beyond.